Computer. We recording.
I look great.
You look great
Hello,
and gray.
everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week, we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing.
I'm looking for the camera, forgetting that it's on as I'm looking at the fucking video.
Ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a one star, no time for feelings. Got a team and DJ, all the ones and twos. By the name of some so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all with two. And prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another soul-sucking episode of Straight Chilling. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 250, recorded on Sunday, January 19th, 2020. Tonight, we're going to be talking about our first Patreon pick of the year. It's going to be Lifeforce from 1985, which was chosen by the one, the only Hydraberg. Thanks for the love and support, Hydraberg.
Hail Hydraberg.
Hail Hydraberg.
Blah.
Also, number 250, what the hell? We've been
Whoa,
doing this for a while.
we're a quarter of the
Can't
way
believe
there,
it.
boys. Quarter of the way there.
What happens at 500?
It
Or
only took
1,000?
5 years to get a quarter of the way. So, you know,
Only
Quarter of the way to what? What is the? There's no just
the goal
like
that we
number.
have, I guess.
1,000, Randy.
We always said if we could make 1,000 podcasts,
We've always
and we
said
would
that.
be rich and famous forever.
Are there
Say it all
even
the
1,000 horror movies? I don't think there's even that
I don't
many.
think so, man. There's no such thing as a catalog of horror movies.
No, not at all.
250,
before we get in-
though. Whoa.
That's a lot, man.
Before we get into it, let me introduce the crew. We got Randy Gandy G Landy calling in from where the hell are you living at now?
I'm in the Goondocks, bitch. I'm
The
up in
Goondocks.
Oregon. Yeah, man. I'm up in Astoria.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
And last but not least, as always, calling in from South Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up?
What up, it's your boy Soju. Strap in, we talking Yabos tonight.
Oh my god.
I am seduced.
I think that introduction was a sex crime of some kind.
Dude,
I
it's
did not
nothing but
consent.
it's nothing but Yabos tonight, squad. Strap
I mean, I would argue that it's a sausage fest with a couple of yabos thrown in for taste, but tell me,
strap
we'll get there. We'll get there.
strap in the
Yeah.
strap on. We talking Yabos.
Good night. Hydraberg, look what you've done to us. Let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. The February poll pick is up on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get a chance to vote on a movie we're going to be talking about next month. The theme for February is going to be French horror movies, and the 3 movies you can vote between are High Tension, Eyes Without a Face, and Raw.
Bob,
High
how those
Tension's
numbers
still winning.
looking?
Oh my god.
High
Tension.
Tension? Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Bob is strutting his stuff. Whoa.
Dude, I was convinced
you're
that we had done
hot.
High Tension before, but I guess
Nah.
not.
No, we never have.
I
certainly
had
watched
thought
it
we had done
together.
Raw before and we didn't. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I
I'm
thought we
excited to
did
do
Eyes
either if we
Without a
haven't.
Face before. but
No,
we
you didn't think that.
No, I didn't.
No one's thought that.
What was we
I
did
chose that
Martyrs.
because it's not one we would think of.
So we did
Yeah.
Martyrs. I guess
Yeah.
that was the biggest
And we did
one.
Inside. Did we do Inside?
And Inside.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Yup, motherfuckers, get inside.
250.
Get
It's
inside.
tough to keep track.
Okay.
It's a
on
lot.
2005 right now, okay?
Oh my god. It's a 5-star comment.
Oh.
Thank you, Randy.
Oh, isn't it? That's pretty much all we got going on for Patreon. If you're a new listener, we very much appreciate people signing up on our Patreon. You get fun stuff like stickers. You obviously get to vote on movies we talk about. And quarterly, we throw up a tier where people are allowed to just straight out pick a movie for us to review, which is exactly how we're talking about Lifeforce here today.
I don't think we
Um,
mentioned enough that if you sign up at the $5 level, you get an exclusive Cooter Club sticker as well.
True. Yeah,
Don't
you
talk
do.
that up enough.
I don't think we
Why is
mentioned that. I don't know. Not only do you get to vote in the poll monthly, but you get an exclusive Cooter Club sticker, and just some other stickers as well.
That sticker is only available to motherfuckers we meet in person and or sign up at this level. Meet in person and pay for them at a premium.
True that.
$500.
It's a $500 sticker. You're getting it for $5.
It's a really good sticker. Designed by Randy Gandy G. Landy himself.
That's true. It'll bring out the cooter and us all, really.
Whoa.
Which is not what we need.
It's not what you want.
Juice, you got some stuff going on.
We doing some housekeeping? Let's talk the housekeeping. Bracket of Blood. We talking Bracket of Blood. Guys, we are in it now. Final 16 as we enter round 3. This week is round 3. All of the divisions are coming together now. We're talking final 16 movies out of 128. This is the top horror films of last decade. We are trying to decide who is the king, who is number 1. Round 3, the matchups are going to be Get Out versus The Invitation.
Oh, no.
Midsummer versus You're Next.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It Follows versus Krampus. Train to Busan versus It. Chapter 1.
Cool.
The part 1. Insidious versus The Conjuring.
Oh, the battle of the wand.
The wand. Damn.
This
Star
is going to be
Wands.
probably the toughest one. The Beach versus The Babadook. Woo.
Yeah,
No, that's easy. That's easy.
It's The Beach. Cabin in the Woods versus Hereditary. That's a tough one. And The Ritual versus Mandy. This is round 3, which means we have just a few weeks left of our Bracket of Blood. Round 3 is going to be this week. It's the final 16. That means next week it's round 4. It's the final 8. And then the week after that, it's the whole thing, man. It's the final 4, the final killer, the final monster, final haunter, final macabre. And then
we get two movies enter, one movie leaves. That's what happens.
I
So
was gonna say what does happen? Okay. Week 16. Get your votes in this week.
Week 35. We're still going.
It's taken us a month and a half to get here, but we're here. So
we're doing it right.
Yep.
That is our Bracket of Blood. Also, tonight, or well, earlier tonight for me, I guess earlier this morning for you, squad, I started our new Twitch stream for Twitching. Finally got the new streams up, and this month I am streaming Alien Isolation. Already got the bish scared out of me a few times. They creep up on you. They get you real good. So if you are into horror video games, check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/Straight Chilling Podcast. I appreciate the people who are helping me out. And the thing is, I'm so terrible because like I have to keep up with people like on Xbox and then on Slack and just all the platforms and like on Instagram. And so I have no idea who is helping me out tonight, but shouts outs to you guys for like helping me get through Alien Isolation, because there were a couple times where I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. People are guiding me through there. So appreciate you. #appreciate you. Also coming up this week, actually, okay. So last week we dropped a new mini episode covering the Dracula mini series. So you can check that out. Also, Bob, this week we have another mini series dropping. What are you covering this week?
Well, I'm not talking about a mini series this week, but I do have another mini
episode. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I watched a movie called Villains, which came out last year, and we talked about the trailer on the show at one point, and it just sort of, it never got like a major release. I think it just like went straight to VOD quietly. And I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I wonder if that's streaming somewhere. And it's on Amazon right now. I rented it for like a 5.
That's with a Skarsgård, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got Bill Skarsgård, Michael Monroe. It's not like an outright horror movie. It's sort of horror adjacent, I suppose you'd say. But I enjoyed it, and keep your eyes and ears open for a mini cast on that later this week.
Nice. Also dropping this week, a video game review on our YouTube channel. So I'm going to be talking about Dead by Daylight, which is the game we played back in September, which was another group game, kind of like our Friday the 13th, where the squad was kind of in on it. So I will be reviewing that game, youtube.com/Straight Chilling Podcast. And it's a new year. And so shouts outs to our boy Corey ahead of that video game review coming out, because he provided us with some pictures, and there's a extra added little bonus for the hashtag Horror with the Squad on the new video game review coming out this week as well. So appreciate all y'all. Actually, this has been a big month as well for YouTube, so thanks for everybody who's been subscribing, because the numbers have been going up significantly. So thanks for that, guys.
Yeah, and also we've got a sister podcast now.
The sister. Are we sticking with that?
Yeah,
or are we sticking with my fuck up?
I guess
little baby sister podcast.
A side podcast.
Yeah, we got a spin-off show called Let's Get Physical Media, which is now on iTunes and Spotify and Stitcher and everywhere you get your podcasts. We also have our own Twitter handle, which is at physical_media_, and we're on Instagram at Let's Get Physical Media Podcast. We got a couple episodes out already. We interviewed Michael Felsher last week, so you can hear that. We're talking about all the physical media, all the Blu-rays, the 4Ks, the special features,
the blue tapes,
all the fun stuff.
Oh my lord, we are just going ham this year so far.
There's a fun fact about Let's Get Physical Media. Rob wanted to call it Let's Get Physical, and I reminded him. I mentioned that to one of our mutual friends, and she said, "Oh no, is it going to be a podcast about running?"
Bob, Randy saved your ass, your candied ass.
My candied
your sweet candied ass.
Sweet can.
I was really just trying to trick people into thinking we were going to be like a workout podcast. We get all those accidental subscribers and our numbers through the roof. And then we're just like, well, this week I picked up a nice Steelbook Blu-ray.
This week I'm getting swole on the Lord of the Rings 4K edition.
Swole.
And I mean that in my penis.
Rob, I legit think you could work out lifting all the physical media that you own.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, this body didn't just happen on accident, okay?
Body by Blu-ray. Ooh.
That soft body.
You think this is an accident? You think this is an accident?
I put work into this.
It's taken decades to get here.
I'm cultivating all of this.
So yeah, we got a lot of shit coming out this year already.
It's finally the decade of straight chilling. After 250 episodes, we're finally headed straight to the top.
They actually added us to the Chinese zodiac. Did you know that? Straight chilling, right up there next to dragon and rat.
What's our symbol?
Yeah, it's DJ Elzebub chilling there.
It's probably Rob drawing a wiener somewhere.
It's probably Rob's duck signature.
Now we're getting way off the beaten path. Let's we got to circle back to the actual show. Yeah, let's get into what we've been watching this week. Oh, Randy, you gonna play the bump or no? Okay.
Yeah, I forgot I have other responsibilities. There it
Randy,
is.
what you been watching?
It's been a few weeks. I'm out of practice.
Welcome back, Randy.
To begin with. So yeah, I was out of commission for a few weeks. We had to do a 10-day travel session to get where we are now. And where we are now is Astoria, Oregon, who for Goonies fans means something, because that's where they filmed and set the film The Goonies, and a bunch of other movies are actually filmed around here too. So
what is that, a comic series, Randy? What is this?
The Goonies?
I'm just
get out of here with your bullshit. No, but so Becky had not seen this film, so we watched Goonies to prepare ourselves. And
oh my lord!
Yeah, we live right in the thick of all that shit. We see filming locations just driving around. It's kind of crazy.
Nice.
So we're out in the Goondocks, and we also have decided to watch the documentary "Don't Fuck with Cats," which is both very good and very depressing, as true crime tends to be, but for very specific reasons that I don't want to get into. And then finally, the last thing I watched this week was a movie that I guess is an Academy Award, I think, nominee or something, or it's won some sort of film award. It's an animated film called I Lost My Body. Have you guys seen this? It's on Netflix.
I started to watch it, but
No.
I didn't finish it. It was like wild, man.
That shit was wild.
Yeah. I didn't finish it.
It's like this insane. So for the people who don't know, it's a sentient hand wakes up in like a morgue, and it's got the consciousness and memories of this little like sad kid, like a sad boy, and it starts running around trying to find its person, like the rest of its body, and it's having memories and all this shit. And it's pretty good. It's like well animated and interesting and stuff like that. But it's also like, oh, I didn't realize when I chose this disembodied hand movie that it was actually going to be like a foofy love story coming of age thing. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like gruesome, I guess, and it was to some extent. But it got a lot lighter by like a third in, and I was just taken aback by that. I thought, okay, well, this is going to be like a very extreme, but it wasn't. Anyway, it was interesting though. It was like fucking weird. I was like, Oregon, it's illegal to smoke out here, so your boy was tripping out watching the smoking.
Randy,
yeah, it was wild.
You smoking one of those funny cigarettes?
Yeah, the hilarious cigarettes.
These are so funny. They're
Wow.
The devil's lettuce.
The old wacky
sweet.
tobacco for Randy.
Yeah, man. Those are
Juice.
euphemisms for weed.
Yeah.
Those are. Juice, what you been watching?
Dude, I gotta say, one thing I've been listening to is that new Mac Miller album, Circles. So good, man. I would say like his last album before he died was Swimming in 2018. And I think looking back now, it's probably my favorite album of 2018. And this album, it's really good too, but it's just like, it's so hard to listen to knowing that like he died and everything. And it's a really good album. And then there's going to be some songs. His last album came out in the summertime, and this one feels like kind of summery too. And I think it's going to fit that mood a little more once the weather kind of warms up. But I've been listening to that, and I also watched this on Netflix. Another true crime is they dropped this like Aaron Hernandez.
Is that good?
3-parter. So it's interesting because one of the interesting things is like he was like our age, or well, y'all's age. He was y'all's age, so he graduated.
Okay. You're in your 40s.
Because I turned 21. I recently had a birthday, so I turned 21. So
I recently had a birthday and you turned 21, but they were not the same day.
Yeah. So it's weird, like, because not only that, but so he like graduated the same year as you guys and at high school and stuff like that. The joke, it just keeps going.
It's so funny.
Yeah, and then also too, he went to the University of Florida, which is something like some of my family is like really into, like since we lived close to University of Florida, and we like go to Gainesville a lot, so like we all knew like like the whole Tim Tebow like deal, even though we weren't real big into college football. We like knew about it, so it's interesting to like see these things, which now are like that was like 13 years ago, and then even like his arrest was like some things happened like close to 10 years ago now, but it happened like while we like kind of knew about it, but it was a little obscure to me. Like I didn't know the finer details, so I found it very interesting. It's just 3 parts, and it was good. It's about 3 hours long. Each part is about an hour long, and similar to kind of like the OJ thing. Like I watched like some stuff on like OJ, and like I didn't really know the finer details, and I just like found it interesting, like their representatives and like how deep it went. I didn't realize he was charged for killing 3 different people. So he actually had 2 different court cases. One for like legit just like executing somebody, like execution style. And then he had a whole nother like court case for like just doing a drive-by. Dude, he did this drive-by like legit like a month before he signed a $40 million 5-year contract with
Randy,
the
are you
Patriots.
typing?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Is it
It
coming
is
through?
coming in
Yeah, it
loud
is.
and clear.
Okay. My bad.
Randy's a heavy typer. Anyways,
Yeah.
so like it's just weird because it like just happened, but to kind of get the finer details of it, it was like really interesting. And there's some other like really fucked up stuff too. Just like I was watching it, it's like kind of like a true crime, but also kind of like a cult movie. Because you have these people who are like Patriot fans and they're like, he didn't do it, and like freaking out and shit. And I'm sitting there thinking like, man, like you see like Colin Kaepernick and like people like want to kill that motherfucker for like kneeling. And then this dude like killed 3 people, one of them execution style, and people are like willing to like go out into the streets and like riot for him and shit. It's like he killed people. He was like, what the fuck is like?
Allegedly.
Well, it was
Kaepernick definitely kneeled though.
it's just like
Yeah,
weird.
that's on
It's just
camera,
like
baby.
weird to see like perspectives, and like from a certain perspective, I watched it like it was a cult type of movie because like the NFL and like Patriots, like they went to the Super Bowl that year, and they just like really like interesting. Like it's like scary, but interesting. Yeah. So that's what I've been watching.
Cool.
There you go.
I have not been watching much true crime at all, but I started watching that new HBO series, The Outsider, based on the Stephen King novel.
Okay.
It's got 2 episodes out currently. It's got Jason Bateman in it, and he actually directed the first 2 episodes as well. Basically, he plays a high school football coach, and he's got like a really solid, like I guess, position in the community. He's known to be like a good person.
Yeah.
And he is caught like on camera, like kidnapping this kid. And he like drags this kid out in the middle of the woods and kills him. And so he's arrested for murdering this boy, but then he was also, I guess, away at a conference, like 60 miles away. And he's also on camera, like at that conference, asking questions and talking to people. So he's like actually proven to be in 2 places at the exact same time. So it's sort of this very strange setup. And you're like, okay, well, did he actually kill this kid? Does he have like a twin? Is he like a doppelganger or something? What's kind of going on?
That's weird.
Yeah, it's so far it's pretty great. Like I said, it's just sort of getting set up. Ben Mendelsohn is in it. He plays a police officer, a detective who's like sort of trying to figure out how this is possible. And you're just kind of like along for the ride with him as he tries to figure it out. It's pretty solid. It's going to be, I think, 10 episodes in the first season. And I don't know if there's going to be another one because there's only 1 book, but we'll see. I recommend that. Solid Stephen King stuff. And I also watched the 1985 The Blob the other day, which is like fantastic. Yeah, the
We've
practical
covered that,
effects
right? That was
are
an old
fantastic.
Bish pick, I believe.
No, I don't think so. I don't think we did.
Yeah, no, we did. The old Bish picked it. The Blob?
I don't think so.
We did.
That's not important. Let's
No, it's not.
Let's check the spreadsheet and make sure that my Scream
Yes.
score stands at 1 star.
Justin, why don't you check that spreadsheet real quick?
Let me check the
Just
spread.
Pull it on up. Oh
Mhm.
man. Well, that's what I've been watching. Let's go ahead and get to the main event here. We're talking about Lifeforce. Kick it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Back of the
I was just going to cover it.
No, I got it, baby.
All right. I feel you.
Yeah, Lifeforce from 1985, directed by Tobe Hooper. Stars Steve Railsback, Matilda May, Peter Firth. Written by Colin Wilson and Dan O'Bannon. It was actually based on a novel by the same name. The synopsis is as follows. A mission to investigate Halley's Comet discovers an even stranger phenomenon, an alien spacecraft. Following a deadly confrontation, the aliens arrive on Earth, where their seductive leader begins a terrifying campaign to drain the life force of everyone she encounters. Her victims, in turn, continue the cycle. And soon the entire planet is in mortal danger. And when the mission Soul Survivor sets out to destroy her, he comes face to face with the most charming and horrifying being he's ever known. Will he be able to destroy the lovely vampiress, or will he become yet another victim of her fatal charm? Actually, off the back of the box.
That is a long-ass back of the box.
That was a pretty solid back of the box, though.
Yeah, it worked. It worked real good. Real good. Right?
Yeah.
Nice job, Blue K4K people.
Yeah.
Blue K4 Ray.
The people. Those people. Good
The
job.
people.
Had you guys seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Randy, how you feeling?
I had not. It's actually been waiting in my queue for a while to watch, so I was excited to get a chance. I would say that I don't recommend this movie for everybody. This movie's a wild goddamn ride, and you got to know that going in. I was like, I'll get into it a little more, but this is a little different than what I expected. Not necessarily worse or good, better or whatever. It was just very, very on a grander scale than I anticipated. So a lot of crazy ass shit's going on in this movie, and it's so much so that I thought, like, by the midway point that the movie must be ending soon.
Yeah.
It's like that kind of movie. So it's a lot. Sit down and prepare yourself. I don't know if it's better to watch with friends or by yourself. I don't know. I can't decide. But I think it's worth watching if you are into the sci-fi horror level of side of horror genre. I think that would do you a little bit better. Or if you're into the old Dracula shit, you might be interested.
Cool. Justin, how you feeling?
Yeah, I thought I had seen this before, but I hadn't. And it's weird because it is a weird mix. It's like not like they're like it starts off sci-fi, but then it doesn't really follow through like with that. So it's hard to recommend to like sci-fi fans, and it's like kind of vampire, but like it kind of like flies a little loose on that end. So it's, I mean, I would give a loose recommend in that, like, I had a pretty fun ride with it, but it's dated and it's like, it's hard to pin down like genre or like subgenre wise. So like be aware that it's like dated and a little campy. But I think it's got some solid elements in it. And also episode 137, The Blob, 1988.
Whoa.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, we've done too many of these. I can't remember them all.
Yeah.
Who can?
Who can?
Who would want to?
Except I did, so I can.
Oh, it's that young, smooth brain of yours.
Yeah, but it's so young.
So young and smooth.
That's right. Do you remember giving Scream a 5-star rating the first time we talked about it? Do you remember that?
I do, and I remember changing as a person so that I gave it a 5-star or a 1-star.
Debatable.
Becoming a worse version of myself.
Rob, would you recommend this film we're covering today?
Thanks for asking. And yes, I believe I would. It's a bizarre mashup of genres. It's definitely heavy on the science fiction, but it's got a little bit of body horror thrown in there. It's got the 80s practical effects going down. It's just it's a fun little Tobe Hooper joint. I'd recommend it. Yeah, I've seen it once prior, and it pretty much lived up to what I recall. It's bizarre. It's bizarre, but I recommend it. Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning. We'll get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
Old Tobes,
Right.
man. I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of him though for this movie.
Old Tobes.
Old Tobes.
Proud of you, guy.
My boy Tobes. There's some cool, like, I don't know, for like special effects and like seemingly like bigger budget wise. I don't know. I think this is pretty solid for him. I kept forgetting that this was like a Tobe Hooper film. Also, I'm a little twisted off of that soju tonight. I'm taking advantage of these nightly casts for me, so I'm drinking.
Cool beans.
Yeah, it was like, this is, for me, this is kind of like gold standard Tobe Hooper movie in terms of like his like latter career where he actually had a budget at his disposal. I mean, this, to me, like, all the effects are so in line with Poltergeist. I kept thinking about that the whole movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, definitely. And Yeah, this was like part of his 3-picture deal with Canon. So he did this, I think Knight Riders, and then Texas Chainsaw Part 2. Those were like the 3 that he made with Canon Films. So they all kind of have a similar, I guess, like vibe. But yeah, he's got like a little bit of money behind this, definitely more than he had for Texas Chainsaw. But I think he pulls it off pretty well. I haven't read the book, but I'm sure it's wild as shit. Yeah, space vampires. That's pretty much what's happening here. We start off with some astronauts in space and this really goofy CG spaceship, and they see this like other spaceship that's inside the tail.
Did you say it's CG?
Comet. Yeah, there's some CG stuff going on. I think.
I mean, and I guess you call it that. They're
like early CG.
Certainly, like the light wipes and things like that, and some of the like the blue screening, I guess, would have to be considered. I don't know if that would be considered practical or not.
No, yeah, there's some scenes with them like the astronauts like floating from one spaceship to the alien spaceship, and like as they're passing through space, it definitely looks like it was done with a terrible 80s computer.
I gotta say though, I like love that aesthetic of it. It's very dated, but some of my favorite parts were like these space scenes, like even when they were showing like the alien spaceship like from the outside, it like opening up and stuff, like, and them like floating through the opening,
so
the way they float, but
because
like,
it doesn't even show like their little like gas packs going off and directing them like you see in other movies.
Just moving.
You kind of hear it, but mostly you just hear the score, and it's like soft fade after soft fade to every scene of them just kind of floating gently. I was like, this movie is like a Xanax. It's crazy.
Yeah, I found it like very charming. I found it like it felt even more dated than it actually was to me. And I wish that this movie had more of the sci-fi element in it, because like the opening scene and like when they went into the ship and they were exploring, like those are some of my favorite parts and favorite like aesthetic, and like with those like special effects or whatever. I liked it, and I wish we had more of it, because
I also liked it too. But like what's interesting about this movie is that it starts out with this very like 2001: A Space Odyssey level aesthetic thing. Like a little bit cheaper version of that, obviously, because it was. But then like it moves into, it becomes like 3 different kinds of movies in the progress of like the first act, and then it winds up being, by the end of this movie, it goes from like that to like a I don't know, like a standard like, oh, we found a life form and it's dangerous, sort of like on Earth sort of thing, and then it turns away kind of from sci-fi into like, okay, well, it's Dracula now, and then it turns kind of away from that because okay, it's fucking riots / zombies,
it's like zombie, it's almost becomes like
Ghostbusters at the end. So like, it's just got all of these different flavors, and it just melds them together. And with all the soft fucking, especially at the beginning, but all like Tobe Hooper, for whatever reason, this movie is like married to soft fades to the next part of the scene, and just sort of like, it's really bizarre. Did you guys notice that, especially at the beginning?
I didn't.
Where like they're floating through space, it'll just really slowly soft fade into the next scene, and it does that so many times. It's like a fucking fever dream. It's like it's like not a movie. There's no like hard cuts at any point at the first part of the movie, and then later on it kind of gets a little bit, but it still does that like sort of like ethereal soft white feel. It's really weird.
That was the Steven Spielberg influence, I think, because it's rumored that Steven Spielberg just directed this whole film. Really the entirety of Tobe Hooper's catalog.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like everybody says that shit, but I don't know if that's true.
Are you serious about this film?
That was a joke. That was
okay.
Okay. I was like, everybody says that about Poltergeist. For sure.
I was like, you're commenting.
Right.
I was like, I didn't like. I was gonna say like,
way
I didn't
too
realize
straight.
You fucked me, but
you're welcome.
Yeah, but like, this is. It's just really bizarre, especially thinking about his other work. If you think about like, I don't know if it's just the editing room, the editing bay that made that decision, or it's had to been coming from him.
One of those like just science fiction space tropey kind of thing. It's just something that they use for whatever reason.
It seems like almost like a moody Buck Rogers at the beginning of this movie.
I will say, like, so just like the general premise, I guess, that we could say is like, so there's this spaceship that's supposed to study Halley's Comet, but instead they find, I mean, they are studying it, but in like Halley's Comet or like in its shadow or whatever, there is this alien ship that contains space vampires, like a whole like a ship. And the space vampires turn out to have like come to Earth before, and that is what inspired the stories of like ancient vampires. And so they kind of follow a lot of the same rules, and that like they can seduce you, and the ways that you kill them are similar, but like then they're also like suck shit through your face instead of like they don't have
Your
sharp
Lifeforce.
teeth. Yeah, they suck.
It sucks electricity out of your mouth, and you turn into a shambling Walking Dead Bub the Chub style corpse.
And then you can also do it, but you got to do it within like 2 hours, or else you turn to dust.
They're turning like they're putting sci-fi rules on the Dracula mythos, and it's weird. It's as weird as it sounds.
It's a weird choice. Yeah, it's a weird choice. There's a lot of Yabos in this movie.
There are mainly 2 Yabos, and they just happen to make a lot of appearances. This movie, I was going to say, like we mentioned earlier, this movie is a sausage fest other than those 2 Yabos. Without those Yabos, this movie, like, but the thing is, this movie's about, like, it seems to be about, like, being afraid of women or something. Like, it's about femininity, like, being overpowering to every man. Like, oh, no, like, I'm making dumb decisions and I can't stop. Oh, no, women. It's like, this movie ain't passing no Bechdel test. It's not happening. But yeah, like this movie's known for, you know, the spooky, naked alien vampire chick.
Yeah.
But it really should be known for a bunch of swinging dicks, like, batting off each other, because that's what happens most of the movie.
Yeah, so they find 3 vampires in the spaceship that are still like alive. They find a bunch of bats. Find a bunch of like giant bats that are like crust. But then they find these like 3 humans, like seemingly humans. And one is a smoking fine woman with her yabos out like 90% of this movie. Those yabos are solid, though. I got to give it to them. You know, if they're going to ride that train, you're
going to give it to the Yabos.
Yeah, I'll give it to the Yabos.
Good job.
But also, they threw some crusty Yabos in here, too. They threw some, like, zombie Yabos in here and some zombie bush. Did you guys notice, like, the zombie bush?
That is sort of a rarity. That's going to hit your bingo card hard.
You almost never get zombie bush.
Hardly ever, but they threw it in there. With the zombie Yabos. But this woman, she just kind of rolls around and like, what? She just like
just sucks the life out of people because that's what women do, apparently.
Yeah, there's oh my god, there's a really funny point in this movie, but I gotta pause it for a second, because the thing is, like, at first when she comes to Earth, she sucks them dry like they're zombies or whatever. But then she's just like stealing a little bit of their life force and like jumping
and
from
causing,
body
like,
to body.
Temporal links and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and that gets like pretty weird because then it's like because her body is still in London, but she's like jumping consciousness. And at one point, so her like main squeeze, which is one of the astronauts from the original ship, he has this like connection to her. So he's like kind of helping the government hunt her down because he can like see her like through telepathy or whatever. And dude, at one point she has taken the body of this woman, this British woman.
That was nuts.
That see's
pretty fucked up.
He shows up with this like CIA agent, which is the equivalent of like the Brits. They show up. It's like the main squeeze and the CIA agent show up to this woman's house, and at this point she's just a regular woman. Like at some point the vampire woman like taking over her body. They shove her to her house, and this guy, he starts like roughing her up. And at first the CIA agent is like, hang on, wait a second, you can't do that. And he's just like explains it away. He's like, no, this woman is a natural sadist. She wants me
she's
to
a
beat her to get the
masochist.
information out of her. And
He
he's
says-
like,
I can see in her head.
yeah, he's like, do you want me to, or do you want to leave
That's
while
how
I
we're-
take care of this?
He says,
Dude.
despite appearances, this woman is a masochist, an extreme masochist.
An extreme.
But
so
wait,
that's,
what does the CIA
this is
agent
how we're
say? So
he
he's like,
says, "Oh, I'm a natural voyeur."
no, he's like,
Yeah.
oh no, I'm a natural voyeur, and just sits his ass down on the couch.
You beat the shit out of that woman.
Dude,
Yeah.
that
Why?
shit.
I hope you don't mind if I
cracked-
whip out my wiener.
I lost
Good
my
Lord.
shit at that
That
scene
shit
when
is
he was
so
like, "Oh,
fucked up.
I'm a natural voyeur." I like,
Like,
I
okay,
like-
everybody just exited the world of reality of any kind. I know that we're in a fucking space vampire movie, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that really
Yeah.
that was
I had
that
to
was the
rewind that
rat.
and watch it again. I was like, did I hear that correctly?
I just had to see that woman get hit in the
What's
face
that?
again.
That was the Halloween resurrection like rat moment where I was like, okay, this movie is like loopy. Like it
Well,
seems like it's
let me
trying
have
to be
another seat.
serious, but it's not. Like I was like, this
So-
is nuts.
He's like, so that is how we're introduced to the idea of him being telepathically linked to people. Like, they don't even explain that until after that scene is over. And the fucking guy is just like down with it. It's like, oh, okay, you can see in her mind.
Yeah,
that she's
beat this
okay,
woman.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Shit
go ahead
out
and
of
beat her
this
up. You know what? I might watch. You know what? I'm
I'll
gonna watch.
and enjoy.
Yes, I'm a natural voyeur.
Like,
No,
what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That shit is not like, and the lady, like, it's like it was thrown in there to justify just beating a woman up in this movie. Like, it really doesn't seem like there's
Yeah.
any point to that being part of this. Like, you could definitely like have him like grab her by the shoulders and have the other guy, whoa, you can't do that, and have her be like, please, I don't know anything. He's like, oh, I can tell she doesn't know because I can read minds now. Holy shit. That's all you had to do. You did not have to have a subplot about this woman being a woman who likes to be hit in the mouth.
I can read your mind, but I'm also just going to beat the hell out of you for fun.
So
I guess.
there's a woman who
Because you
sucks the
want
life
me
out
to.
of people and is a puppet master, sucks the life out of all men. And then there's a woman who has the life sucked out of her and also loves to be beaten in the mouth. This movie's not doing great for ladies.
No.
I want to
Yeah,
make sure that's on the record.
And
At
Yabos
the-
and Zombie Bush are hanging.
At that point in the movie, the plot starts to get pretty convoluted. Because it's
yeah.
pretty clear cut up until that point. So we've got these like 3 space vampires that are in coffins, and they bring them back down to Earth to study them. And like the Colonel, there's like one survivor of that spaceship, and he's sort of like pulling us through the plot as the Colonel. And the vampires come to life and they start sucking the souls out of people. And the chick is walking around town and like hopping from people's mind to mind. And then the other 2 dudes wake up a little bit later, and they inhabit 2 guards that are like keeping watch. They get blown to shit, and they inhabit 2 guards, and then we kind of catch up with them a little bit later. Yeah, but then you've
they're
got
barely
like
in it.
they're not in it a whole lot now, and it's hard to like keep track because people keep like transferring from body to body, and then you've got these like 2, the Colonel and like the scientist guy are just like white dudes that we don't know anything about. There's like the characters are like super thin, which I guess you don't need a whole lot. Then you got like Jean-Luc Picard coming up in here, and he takes these guys to this like insane asylum where for like people who are like crazy but also violent, and then they give this dude like a truth serum or
Well, they
something
think it's
like
gonna
that.
be another. See that like you're
Yeah,
right.
I
It
think
gets
it was-
so convoluted because
It's
like
like hypnosis tonic.
the
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
the guy is tracking her like through his mind, and they go to this insane asylum, and he says he's in like a patient, but really he's in the doctor, and there's like this whole switcheroo. There's
Picard.
too much. There's
It's
like
too
Yeah.
much.
space
They sneak attack Picard with the
vampires are enough. You don't need
Yeah.
telepathy and
This-
an insane asylum and hypnosis. Like that's a lot.
At this part of the movie,
That-
I had flashes of American Horror Story. Where I'm like, okay, there's just
Yeah,
too
yeah, yeah.
goddamn much happening.
Yeah.
Spiraling out of
Follow.
control. I want to talk about that scene where, so we think it's going to be the dude who's actually in the insane asylum who like has some awareness of where the space vampire is at, and it turns out that Picard, who actually works at the hospital, he has been like touched by the vampire. So they sneak attack him with the drugs, and they strap him down to a table, and they're trying to like read his mind and get some information out of him. And then he starts actually talking but with the space vampire's voice. So you got like fucking bald ass Picard, and he's like talking like a woman,
and then
which is
they
wild.
make out.
They do
Dude.
make out.
Dude,
Holy
yeah, he's like seeing,
That's
it's
some
like cutting
ghost
to and
shit.
from.
Remember
It is
Ghost,
ghost.
Rob?
Yeah, but this is Patrick Stewart, and
Sorry.
I read in his trivia. I'm gonna go ahead and jump the gun on this one. First on-screen
Okay.
kiss for Sir Patrick Stewart.
Holy
Oh,
shit!
wow.
Was the
You sure
man.
can pick him.
Carlson is so turned on by the fraction of a consciousness of this space goddess that he makes out with Captain Picard, just like
I love
on a
the
plane or
like.
whatever.
He's getting tractor beamed into him, and before they make out,
Yeah.
he's just screaming in his face like, "Let me go!"
I love to
That's
like
how my
the
first
way
kiss went.
the way everyone like describes this woman and shit. It's the most like feminine force I've ever felt. And it was horrible. Like it's just like,
I had no
such a
control.
weird-
Was it
such
was
a
it
weird
sexual?
tone.
Overtly so.
Overtly.
It's like,
Whatever
okay,
happened to
well,
that guy? Did we just forget about that guy who chain smokes all the time?
Which guy is that?
Yeah, they're all just white.
Everybody's
Well, he
chain
was the
dudes.
main guy. So when he's like a doctor or something. When they first bring the woman back,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
the guard
yeah,
gets
yeah,
like
yeah.
sucked into a zombie, and then he goes and he doesn't get sucked into a zombie, and then he's the one who's saying like, "Oh, it's the
explodes.
most he does what?"
Yeah, he straight up explodes.
He
That's
explodes.
right.
He's like they have him trapped. They had him trapped in a holding tank. They watch
That's right.
one of the others explode, and then
That's
he runs
right.
at the screen or runs at
That's
the
right.
bars and just pops into
That's
a like
right.
black
Smoke.
dust.
Yeah. That was kind of
like,
cool.
this movie-
That was kind of cool.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I really do like the effects in this movie, even the dated ones. I think just because as a
Yeah.
whole, it's like this is a feast for the eyes. It's so fun to watch the shit that they're doing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's got like lightning, like a lot of random lightning shooting around. Like when they start making out, when Card starts making out in the room, it's just like filled with lightning and stuff. And like towards the end of the movie, like it's basically martial law. Like London is overrun by these like sort of half zombie people that are sucking people's life force.
Yeah.
And you just see like souls being like transferred into this one area of town, which is like this really fancy cathedral, and the souls are being like beamed up to the spaceship.
Yeah, and nobody except for the main character somehow pieces together. Maybe that's important. I should go there.
Right. Maybe we.
And
should
it's only because he has a
think about that.
telepathic link. Nobody else like sees or cares that that's happening. Like, we're just gonna blow it up. We'll just blow up the city. That's fine.
Yeah. So there's just sort of like all this energy being transferred, and we follow the colonel over to the cathedral, and he finally we get these like dude vampires back, and he kills one of them with this magical sword, which of course there's a magical sword. He like stabs him, and he turns into his like big bat vampire form, which is pretty cool looking, and then he explodes, which is pretty dope. But then he can't overcome the feminine wiles of the main vampire.
He almost can't.
I mean, have you seen those tits? Come on. They start making out.
Bob Yabos.
They start making out, and they just fly off into space.
Well, no, he stabs her. He stabs both of them.
Yeah, he stabs.
Like, yeah, because Colin Firth, or Peter Firth, I always want to say Colin Firth. Peter Firth, the English officer or whatever, drops the sword to him, and he stabs through the both of them, and then they get sucked up, and everything turns red, which assumingly means that things are going bad. But then they get up into the ship, and the ship just kind of like wheedles its way away. So I guess he just gets sucked into the abyss, and they just say, "Oh, fuck this, bye, Earth."
Oh, okay, here's one element since we're talking about like the whole sword and everything. So the whole like thing is like, oh, they've been to Earth before, which is why we have like lore about vampire. Okay, this chick was on like Earth for like a day or like two tops. Mm-hmm. And by the end of that day, like the entire city of London is like running rampant as if there were like a plague. Yeah, it's like, and they're willing to
it's
like
a zombie apocalypse happening.
They're willing to like nuke the city in order to stop it. Like, you're telling me that vampires have been to Earth before, and because at one point he says like she destroys worlds or whatever. It's like, and they didn't like destroy the world back then. Like, why the fuck like did they leave? Like, what? Like,
That's
what are
a
you
good
talking
question. You'll have
about?
to wait till Lifeforce 2 comes out. Never.
Oh, I'll need to know.
The prequel.
The
Lifeforce 2, the
Oh,
prequel.
man.
like that. There's just like they try to do too much with this movie.
It's
like for sure.
This movie feels like it can't decide whether it wants to like be magical or scientific. Like it tries to toe the line between the two. It's using Dracula lore as a basis, and it's like, okay, so how can we justify this in science fiction terms? And they can only do it so much. So the problem with that, which if there is one, is if you're thinking about it scientifically, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. So you kind of have to yourself as a viewer be like, well, I guess that's fine. I just won't pay attention to that very obvious plot hole. Like, you just kind of have to like set it aside and just go on for the ride, which is what it's about. It's not about the sci-fi lore of it. I mean, it's kind of interesting, but it's about taking the ride or whatever, and also about beating women across the face.
The dude who finds the sword it's like a lead sword, and he says you have to like stab the vampire in their energy center, which is 2 inches below the heart. It's just like, what?
Like, just say the heart.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Turns out it's like, does it sound too stupid that your space vampire's heart is actually, it's like, that's too dumb. Let's make it just a couple inches below. That's where the power center is.
The Picard death might be my favorite death.
Dude,
they're like in the helicopter flying off, and he's like, he just like starts spewing blood out of his mouth, and like,
and so does the other corpse.
His like guts and blood like form the space vampire chick. And then she just like falls to the ground, and this just like this pile of blood and guts. And
that was cool. Yeah, it was
gross.
the two guys, because there was a guy who was like a politician or something who died in like the scuffle of like the telepathy, whatever. But he died too.
Yep.
So there's two corpses, and their like blood comes together. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
They're mixing blood, and the blood turns into a lady, and the lady just drops into blood again. It's like, oh no, she escaped by her blood. Like the way that the life is drained out of these life forces is kind of loosey goosey.
Yeah, they keep saying like she escaped, but her body's never there. So.
Well, her consciousness was trapped because he was drugged. Was the idea there?
But then he was still drugging him. So, like, how?
Yeah,
did
but then
escape?
he just like exactly. I have no idea. He puked blood, and that was more than enough blood to turn into a lady that is allowed the lady to escape. Obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. So we kind of covered the plot, I guess.
Dude,
there's that like really. Huh? Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's that one like bizarre dream sequence the Colonel has where you find out that she can like suck your life like through your dream, and he basically just has like a wet dream, like he's making out with
a really
intense
intense wet dream where he fucks the bat, and that was that.
He wakes up screaming. He's like, "Oh, I gotta change my drawers.
Oh, my drawers.
She's so feminine. This bat is so feminine."
You know what though? On top of that, so there's this guy, like the main squeeze Colonel guy. At one point toward the end, he's like, why do I feel these like feelings for you? And she's like, you're one of us. Like you were always one of us.
What the fuck
and
was that?
And then I was like, so is this dude like a vampire? Like, dude, this movie didn't
make she just towing him a line? Because this is the moment where there should be like no bullshit anymore. This is just like, this is the end of the movie, so theoretically this is supposed to be the truth.
Yeah, the thing is, though,
makes no fucking
like
sense.
it made it seem like she had manipulated him, because he even admits like she's calling to me like at one point like she needed to mate with me so she could understand our species, which doesn't make sense because apparently they've been to Earth before. But whatever, she needs to mate with me, understand our species, but she gave me a part of herself. She needs to take,
and she wants to take it back,
but she doesn't. She's like, no, you're one of us, and like, and then she's like boning him again or whatever. So it's like,
that's where this Dracula didn't do that shit. That comes straight from the mind of a dude who's like, women are evil. They'll suck you right the fuck back in until you kill each other. Like murder-suicide's the only way.
Need our D, brah. I just
what
can't live without it.
What if aliens are real, but they're just smoking hot babes?
They just want to suck the life force out of you and turn you into a shambling corpse.
Oh, I want to suck your life force out.
This movie be not subtle. Like that's where we're at. It's not subtle, but it is fucking confusing. The lore is confusing, but the underlying themes are troubling.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are. I don't know. Yeah, is there anything else we need to touch on this? Anything else you guys want to mention?
I don't
we
think
could
so.
talk about the.
I mean, yeah, there's a
like,
lot.
There's just I kind of want to go through it like as comprehensive a list as we can make of like the cool ass special effects moments because there's a ton.
Yeah.
So we talked about the space stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah. That first life-sucking scene where she like pretty much totally drains that guy.
Yeah.
Is pretty great. Pretty great. Yeah. And then he comes back to life.
He comes back to life. It reminded me of Return of the Living Dead. Remember when they captured that like half woman corpse? Because then they get another woman corpse that they bring in. She comes back to life. But that's what it reminded me of. The teeth, the way the teeth look and like how they act. It just kind of reminded me of that.
Her that puppet of the woman, like there was a minute there was like, holy shit, is this an actress in there? It looked so good.
Yeah.
Hers in particular, to me, at least like in the like torso up shots, like once you saw the legs, it's like pretty obvious that it's puppetry, but the face was looking real good. Like really it really passed my test, you know what I mean? Like I was like, holy shit, this is kind of intense. This fucking corpse woman screaming. It looked even better than the one Return of the Living Dead, which I love. So
yeah.
I love that. That was maybe my favorite shot because that was when I was really like impressed. It's like, okay, so it's not just like hokey floating through space in front of a blue screen sort of situation. It's got other stuff too. They also like destroy London entirely in this movie.
Yeah.
Shit, fucking I don't remember which buildings they are, but several like iconic buildings explode and shit out of nowhere. They have like so many like shambling corpses and shit, and then half shamble. Like there's no consistency in what the zombie people look like. I noticed, like at first they're like rotted corpses, and then later on they look more like just like people with like bloody scars or whatever, like in a regular zombie movie, or like in Walking Dead where they're juicy and shit. I don't know. There's some weirdness going on there, but it was still cool looking, and I just couldn't believe the scope this movie took eventually with all that shit. I thought this was going to be like an insular, like trapped on a space station, or like mostly like like a story of like 5 to 10 people. I didn't realize it was going to involve all of fucking London, so that really took me by surprise. But yeah, these like all the effects of these different people and how they handle it, it looks really great overall.
Yeah, I agree. The actual bat creatures look pretty solid.
I thought that too. Yeah.
All the lightning effects pretty solid.
Those bitches explode into dust multiple times on screen, and it looks really good.
Yeah. The bloody Picard vomit is pretty solid.
That was wild, and they use a lot of that like that poltergeist level. Like I guess Tobe Hooper has a real clear vision of what he thinks a soul looks like because it's just floating blue smoke with sparks in it. That's a little dated or whatever, but it was also kind of charming because that was like, okay, so while you've got these like really gruesome things, you've also got this. It's like they like merged Poltergeist and Return of the Living Dead together, like effects wise. I really like that.
Yeah, that's true. Canon Films, baby, making some weird shit.
Really?
Yeah, you guys want to go ahead and rate this thing?
Let's do it.
Cool. Out of 5, Randy, why don't you kick us off? How you feeling about Lifeforce?
So I have like obviously a little bit of conflict about this movie, but I overall enjoyed my time watching it, and I'm gonna judge based mostly on that. So this movie took me by surprise in a lot of ways. I knew it was kind of a wild ride, but I didn't know quite the extent of it. Like I said, I didn't know it was such a like broad story that was like so far reaching that would show so much of, you know, like they had to have had like 1,000 extras in this movie. So let's see. I think if I had to give it a score off the bat, I have issues kind of like with the way that women are portrayed or whatever, but it is of its time, I guess. And I don't know, not to make any excuses for that, but that's not what the movie is. Like it's not what its value is to me as a viewer. Like that's not what I was most interested in while I was watching it, but it is noteworthy that like this movie has kind of terrified of ladies. I would say this is I'm going to give it a 3-star. I think I'm going to give it 3. I think that it's good. The effects are pretty goddamn amazing and worth the watch just for that. It's overlong and it's overcomplicated plot-wise. It doesn't do a one-to-one with Dracula or with a sci-fi horror exactly. But it does, like, successfully to an extent merge a lot of different styles into one. And, you know, aside from that big glowing issue for me, I had a really good time with it. So I think 3 seems fair for that.
Okay. Juice, what do you feel?
Yeah, I mostly had a fun time watching this, except when it came to the length. And I feel like almost like the whole like insane asylum, I guess, scene probably could have been cut. Or there's probably actually a lot of things that could have been cut if you had to trim it down. But it definitely didn't need to be 2 hours long. And a lot of it just doesn't make a whole lot of lick of sense. How I enjoyed the visual effects too. I thought it was really charming. The more we've talked about it, kind of the less I've liked of it, though. It's just too much. But I think I'll give it a 2. And then, of course, a man's got a code, and they delivered on the solid Yabos. So bumping up, half-star for the Yabos. Shaboy's
Principled stands.
Yeah, principled stance. Shaboy's going to end at 2.5 stars.
A man has a code.
Man has a code.
Except for when it comes to rating Scream.
There are no Yabos in Scream, Bob. It could have ended at a 1.5, but no Yabos.
Oh, gracious. Yeah, this movie is not perfect. It's pretty fun to watch. It's got some wild effects, and it delivers on some pretty great practical stuff. The plot is like very convoluted and kind of loses you about halfway through the movie. Which in addition to the lengthy runtime, the last hour you're just kind of like enduring it almost. Holy shit! I still have an hour to go, and I don't know what the fuck's happening. They don't do a great job of like wrapping it up either, but it's like a fun roller coaster. Like if you just kind of strap in, you're along for the ride. It's pretty fun. There's an egregious amount of nudity. It's actually a little bit uncomfortable for me. It's like, oh, okay, this is like leering. But I don't know, outside of those issues, like I said, it's overall a pretty enjoyable watch. I'm going to give it a 3 as well, and that's going to put the aggregate at a 2.8. So let's go ahead and see what the Rotten Tomatoes has to say.
Certified fresh to death.
We got it.
Take it away, Juice.
Actually, take it away, Randy. I am passing the torch on to Randy. He is going to take over the segment now.
Torch. I want your torch.
Until next time he moves and he's away for a couple weeks, and then I'll take it back.
That sounds good. Okay. So the Rotten Tomatoes segment, for those who are new to the podcast, is where I rather, give these two boys the opportunity to guess what both the critic score and the user score will have been on RottenTomatoes.com out of 100%, 0 to 100%. So we're going to start with the critic score as we usually do. Juice, you don't get to guess very often. What do you think the critic score of this is?
Man, it's been a hot minute. Can you tell us how many critics have rated this film?
25 is what it says.
25. Ooh, a hot 25. All right. Ooh, I gotta think the critics weren't too kind, but maybe a little forgiving. I'll give it a 55.
55. Okay. Bob, what are you thinking about this critic score?
It can't be very high. 55 might be a little low, though. I'll just do a 60.
Okay. Well, ding, 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 ding. Somebody hit it right on the goddamn nose. Bob, congratulations. 60% is what the tomatometer says.
Yes.
There you go. You got 60, just 5 above. I thought Juice had it kind of on lock with his guess, but you guys were on it.
Professional. We are professional.
No, that is inaccurate in every capacity.
Rob wants to be a professional. We hold him back.
We hold him back.
Maybe
what's
let's
happening.
get physical media. Will be.
That's
more
the one.
professional.
That's
gotta
the
drop
one that's
all
going to
this
shoot
dead
Bob
weight.
into the stratosphere. We're going to be asking if we can
Left
come into it
behind.
through his gatehouse one
I
day.
know. I'm gonna start just racking out the Blu-rays.
That's the only way you can get Bob's attention.
The gate code is just 6969. So come on in.
Oh, cool. Same as what the thermostat says. Great. All right, so let's go ahead to the user score. We here fight for the users at Straight Chilling, and there are 9,590 user scores for this movie. So, Bob, why don't you start us off?
Probably a little bit higher than the critics if I had to guess. And I do have to guess. So I'm going to go with a 70.
70. Okay, Juice, what do you think?
I think it's lower than that. So to cover the spread, I'll go with the 69, please.
Okay, well, I'm glad that the whole spread is now covered.
I like a wide spread, please.
So ding, 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 ding. We have another instance of not a perfect guess, but the comedy number being correct.
Woo!
So Juice, congratulations, because the score is actually, even though it's way off, it's 45% from the audience.
I thought it was under. I thought it'd be under, but
The audience
got
did not-
a chance to pick 69 in a hot minute.
Yeah, the audience did not care for this movie, apparently.
Wow.
At least not the ones on Rotten Tomatoes. Which, yeah, it does kind of surprise me in some degrees because it's Tobe Hooper. You know, the people who I would expect to review this, I would feel like would be pretty forgiving. But
is there a critic consensus?
I'm looking. I'm not sure where to find that on New Rotten Tomatoes. I haven't used it since they. Oh wait, yeah, they do. Okay, so the critic consensus is this: brazenly strange and uneven in its execution, Lifeforce is an otherworldly sci-fi excursion punctuated with off-kilter horror flourishes. I guess. That's,
True.
That's certainly a thing that was written. One of the negative critics said, "Not near one of Hooper's best. At its core, Lifeforce is the dark heart of all humankind's anxiety of extraterrestrials."
Of women?
Yes,
What?
extraterrestrial women specifically.
Of insecure men's fear of women?
Vaginas. I mean,
Yes,
extraterrestrials.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Man, you need to step up your game. I'm looking
And then
at one of you.
one of the positives was seen today. It's actually an astoundingly brave, weird movie that tries more and accomplishes more than many of today's bland roller coaster rides. I agree with that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
says
at least it had some
it's
sass
pretty
to
daring.
it.
Yeah, it's got its own flavor for sure. For better or
It's
for
got
worse.
31 flavors.
My boy
Okay.
Tobes. He knows
My
how
boy
to bring
Robbins Baskin. Yeah, okay. That's it. That's the
Sweet.
segment.
Sweet. Segment over. So who's doing trivia now? I don't know. how
No,
this
Bob, we're talking cooters.
works.
We can do trivia. I have
Is
trivia.
someone gonna do trivia? Okay, because we're gonna do trivia now.
Oh
Here
my
we go.
god. Oh my lord. Oh
It's
my.
totally time for trivia.
All right, take it away.
There's quite a bit of trivia here, so I'm going to try and just do a selection. So Mathilda May, who's played our Space Girl, was actually only called Space Girl in the credits and never had any other name, Space Girl. She had to learn.
Yeah.
She had to learn her lines phonetically for her audition because she didn't know any English at the time and had to learn on the set how to
What
speak.
the fuck? Where's she from?
That's a good question. I don't know.
France.
It's not on the trivia section.
Wow.
She's from France.
She's French.
Oh, she is? Huh.
French
She
toast.
did a good job.
Yeah, she did. Like she only, but the
That's
part of the reason
so
for that is
weird.
that she was only in 7 minutes of screen time. So
Well, maybe talking. Really?
that's what this says, man. I'm trusting IMDb trivia section, baby. If
It's
they're
like
wrong,
really
then blame
low.
them. I mean, that might also have to do with another piece of trivia, which is that this movie got like rewritten and cut to shit quite a bit. Like the whole
Yeah, I
scene
believe that.
with the USS Churchill or whatever, the Churchill spaceship at the beginning of this movie, that whole thing was like the first third of the movie in the original script, and it was like 3 hours long.
Oh God!
they
this
ended up
movie
trimming most
definitely
of that.
doesn't even be 3 hours
Which-
long.
Oh no, definitely not. But like that's actually kind of interesting to me because when I was watching this movie, I was like, okay, who the fuck are our lead characters in this? And in the original, like the part of the reason for that is that they kind of set up some characters that we never get to see pay off because they cut like all of their shit from
That's
the
true.
Churchill spaceship.
They just
The
burn
only person
up.
that comes back is Colonel Carlson. He's the only one that comes back, and the rest of them just burn into corpses, and that's all they get to do besides floating into the space dick.
Yeah, except there was like a number of women on the ship, like in the in the opening scene, and I guess they are also just seduced by this woman. I don't know.
I think. Well, I think
they get got. She like sucks their souls from her coffin. Well, they all do, I think.
Yeah.
So they shrivel up, and then there's just Carlson left, and then he
So then why does she even need to do like the lightning beams from her face?
That's just the most direct way. I don't know, man. They're getting loose with this shit. That's the thing. Is like
maybe this was the influence for Stephen King's like steam bullshit. You know, steam huffers.
It's like
from Dr.
Steam.
Steam
Huffers.
Let me huff Dr. Steam.
Dr. Steam Huffer. Oh, this is a substantial part of the episode.
That was really hot.
So I don't know. I think like I said in my review, I think they're kind of just split between two wants. They want a sci-fi epic horror, but they also want a Dracula story. And to that end, here's a piece of trivia as written. The storyline has many parallels to the original Dracula story. The vampire comes to Earth in a ship whose crew is wiped out, just as Dracula comes to Britain sailing on a ship upon whose crew he is fed. I don't like the way that's phrased. He takes refuge in a religious temple, creates a special link with a victim with whom it has shared its essence, who is later hypnotized to provide clues to its location. So that's how they're like coming up with this telepathy thing. It's not something that we see in a lot of Dracula movies, but it's in the original Dracula in some capacity. The team hunting it include foreign-sounding doctor obsessed with death, Van Helsing character, an American who track it to a mental asylum while it spreads its plague through London. The vampire is eventually killed by the American using a knife, who also dies in the process. So yeah, like they're tying themselves hard to the Dracula, specifically Dracula mythos, while also trying to tie themselves to this like 2001: A Space Odyssey level like realism or sci-fi realism. And it's not a one-to-one. It doesn't work perfectly.
Yeah.
So the model of London that's destroyed in this movie was actually part of in the remains of Tectonia, which was a theme park in Britain, a model village near Christchurch, England, that had closed not long before shooting of this movie. So I actually watched a little featurette where they showed them filming this, and they said that they didn't, like, of all those like wide shots of shit exploding in London, those were all like the only things that were not already there at this miniature London were the exploding buildings. Everything else was already in place. So they had this really perfect like shooting opportunity for the time. Like there would have been no other way to get that shot but to make a miniature.
Nice.
You know, it was really fortuitous. Yeah, they nailed that shit. And like for my part, like it didn't question it once as a miniature. Like if I wasn't like actively thinking about, you know, how the effect was done, I wouldn't have even thought about it, and I didn't. So let's see. There's so much here. Oh my God. For the shot of Space Girl walking up the stairs naked, shadows were added in post-production to censor Mathilda May's body to avoid getting an X rating. This movie almost got an X rating. It's just
I'm kind of surprised. I mean, there was a decent amount of like full frontal nudity.
Yeah, there was, but there was no like there was only one scene that could be considered like a sex scene, like, and that was his dream, which he was fucking a bat.
Well, then at the end too, they're banging it out.
I guess, yeah, kind of, yeah, that's true. Like
those yabos are just out like so much.
Otherwise, it's just like and they leave the yabos out because it elicits that response in dudes where it's like, oh shit, nipples, yabos, alert, things going in brain. Oh no, like
the yabos.
Like that, we're supposed to feel the femininity. just like the characters, and be like, "Oh no, women are awful," or whatever we're supposed to think.
God damn.
Sir Patrick Stewart said in interviews that he was disappointed at the cuts made in the movie. That was not the piece of trivia I thought it was when I started reading it.
Cool story.
Yeah, great. The Cannon Group, Inc. and Golan Globus Productions were renowned for making low-budget movies, as we know. This production, along with Superman 4, Quest for Peace, and Masters of the Universe in '87, were 3 of their most expensive. And they were also considered by the owners of Cannon as the best Cannon film. I read that as well.
The best.
Yeah. And to my mind, I haven't seen one that really tops it yet. Can't think of one. Let's see. He also said, Tobe Hooper said about Cannon that they're actually a really good company to work for. Both Yoram and Menahem loved the movies and filmmakers and really treated them well. It seemed more when I was there, like maybe the old system was like. I miss that kind of showmanship and risk-taking. Which is like, yeah, I respect that.
Good, yeah.
Like, the Cannon Group, they're nothing if not risk-takers. And that's what we were like kind of praising this movie for, is like,
Yeah.
It goes for it, and it ends up being exactly what it, like, you think it wanted to be. It turns out to be its own flavor for sure. So Tobe Hooper's director's cut was 2 hours and 8 minutes. The movie was cut down to 1 hour and 56 minutes. The cuts being mostly scenes on the spaceship. This is what I covered earlier. Spaceship Churchill. The original unedited European version contains more violent and erotic footage, which TriStar Pictures cut from the domestic U.S. version. It also contained a full Henry Mancini score in place of the occasional Michael Kamen music used, placed in by the last minute for the U.S. prints. This version is now available on video and runs 1 hour and 56 minutes. I do believe that's the one I saw from Amazon Prime.
Yeah, that's the
1
one.
hour 56 minutes. I think
It wasn't quite
that's
2 hours for me.
no, yeah, that's the one I watched too.
So we got the full Henry Mancini view and all the erotic shit. Yeah.
Whoa, give me that erotic.
Oh,
Give me that erotic shit. Let's see. The filmmakers briefly considered waxing Mathilda May in order to make her appear less nude. I guess waxing is some sort of effect.
Yeah, that's not what I thought.
It's not Brazilian, I don't think, waxing. I gotta think that maybe it's like covering over the nipples and like a Ken doll, maybe, or something.
I gotcha.
That's my guess.
Wait a second.
If any huge special effects nerds want to let us know what that means,
Tell me what
Define
waxing
waxing.
means.
Yeah, what does waxing mean in that world? This idea was ultimately rejected because it had the opposite result of its initial intention, which was to give men boners that they can't explain.
Whoa, waxing your car, huh?
I got this boner, and I cannot explain.
Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Certainly not the Yabos.
Director Tobe Hooper almost lost one of his ears in the shooting due to the freezing cold English moors.
Jeez.
Goddamn England.
Tobe,
Wear a
man,
hat.
Don't fuck with the Texans, man. They can't handle that kind of cold, baby. I know.
Yeah.
Texans.
Let's see. Yeah, Sir Patrick Stewart's first on-screen kiss
Was a mang.
Yeah, which is appropriate for the Mang.
Let me go.
That was weird.
Tobe Hooper nicknamed the victims of space vampires, quote, the walking shriveled.
Oh.
That's what they call me right out of the pool.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny.
Randy
dummies-
Andy the shriveled.
The dummies
Andy the
used
Shriveled.
the dummies used as dissected corpse were used in the 1999 version of The Mummy.
Oh, okay.
The good one.
The good one. This is going to be the last one I read because we're hitting
what?
plateau here with interesting shit. Billy Idol was considered for the role of one of the vampires in this movie, and I,
Hell yeah.
for one, am terribly sad that he did not get to do
Yeah, that sucks.
Mm.
Yeah, so that'll be my trivia segment. That's all I got
Sweet.
for you people. There's plenty.
Bob.
Solid.
Can we please talk Hooters now?
Yes. Let's talk.
Cooter of the
week.
Oh my God, Rob. Okay, so
Take it away.
First, I like to start this segment with an apology. Bob likes to pretend that we're professionals, but clearly we missed a huge opportunity to discuss Cooters last week on our Scream episode, in which Billy Loomis is a huge, notable cooter that we just did not dissect.
Significant.
Unfortunately.
And it's my fault because I run this segment, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
totally my fault. Okay.
Rob, I tried to run this segment and you pushed me off just now. So,
Oh,
you know,
man.
I mean.
So remind our listeners what constitutes a cooter. What are we talking about?
So Cooter,
Yeah.
we Ski, my boy Ski. I mean, with the name
Pretty
like
much.
Ski. So Cooter is a character type that we have been tracking, and it takes 5 points that you can hit of cooterdom that we can trace. It is manipulation, smug arrogance, sexual deviancy, patheticness, and attire. Okay,
Or appearance.
Or appearance. Billy Loomis hits very high on a lot of those, but that was last week. That was a 1-star movie. So today we are talking.
Jeez.
Oh jeez. Today we are talking about the cooter from Lifeforce, and I feel like I'm on a Heidelberg, and we mentioned it before. Heidelberg essentially just picks the most like obscure cooter movies. Like he's but you know, it shows his dedication to the hunt. That man's a true cooter hunter. He has picked the most obscure like cooters I think we've picked out of like most movies. And this time they're space vampires of all
Dude.
things.
This movie is got cooters for sure.
It's got cooters for days. So we
I
could
feel
talk.
like
Yeah. Go ahead.
I feel like this movie. I don't know if singling in on one person is the right way to go with this movie.
This
I
movie
feel like
is a bit of a cooter.
the movie itself is the cooter, and it's at least some capacity, like
It
for
is.
reasons already discussed. But
That's
like
very
this movie is
funny.
clearly exploiting exploiting nudity, you know,
Yeah.
at ad nauseum, and eroticism,
Sexual
and shit like that.
deviancy. All right.
And just and it wears its attire or appearance is pretty fucking wacky and bizarre.
It manipulates you into thinking it's a sci-fi movie when really it's some mix of magic / lore /
does hide
zombie bullshit. Yeah.
So
okay.
It really does some sleight of hand for sure.
I was originally going to vote that the female space vampire was a cooter, but now you guys are, I think you're really on the right track here. So the dude that wrote the novel, Colin Wilson,
Yeah.
cooter.
Oh, really?
So I'm feeling it.
How does he
'Cause
look,
he's the-
Bob? Did you look him up?
I
a
can
weird-
real quick.
Look at his first picture and see if he's wearing anything weird.
He doesn't have a picture on IMDb. Maybe I can find him just out and about.
What is the
I
name of
mean, even like, there's a couple people who could be cooters in this movie. Like, the main vampire chick, definitely she's manipulative and she uses like her sexuality to manipulate people. So there's some
Definitely.
sexual deviancy. And she doesn't really wear anything, so we can't knock her on her attire. She's not really pathetic.
wearing nothing is a choice. That's an attire. That's an appearance choice.
Smug arrogance though, she's pretty arrogant. She's pretty full of herself. She's got the hot shits on her, you know.
She's got
hot
a case of the
shits.
hot shits.
Oh god, I got the hot shits.
Yeah.
She's got the hot shits.
She's sucking up people's souls by the hundreds, by the thousands.
Dude,
yeah.
And like making this dude fall in love with her.
But
just
also
so
some of
that
these
they can
dudes could definitely
take
hit
out?
cooterdom. I feel like some of these guys could hit the
Oh
cooterdom.
yeah. Well,
Like, let's
fucking-
talk about well, he's not very arrogant. He's pathetic, the Colonel. Like he's
he's pathetic
he's
and
whipped for
he's
sure.
manipulated. Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like
He is.
he's all of your friends who has ever had a serious girlfriend and how they've abandoned you. And you know, bros before hoes, bro. Bros before hoes.
Oh no, Randy, they got you. They got you.
Randy.
Yeah, no, that's what I kept
Yeah.
reading this character. It's like, man, they're making this guy so fucking pathetic because he's been
He's
so
pathetic.
wooed by this vamp.
And
this
he
seductor
does
succubus.
knowingly bang a like shapeshifter because she's not really a woman, and he knows
She
this.
looks like a bat, and he has seen the bats.
So he knows a little bit.
She
So
tells him,
that's-
she's like, yeah, I changed my appearance to be appealing to you. He's like, oh, so I'm really just fucking a bat? She's like, yep.
Yep. You want to do it again?
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
Okay, baby. That's cool.
Want to hang upside down, like baby? Come on, baby.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So, I mean, this movie is potentially a cooter in itself. It's filled with cooters. The vampire chick, the colonel chick.
Not the colonel chick. No, the Colonel Carlson. Well, to add to that, like, I think that if anybody in this movie is a cooter, it's him, and it's specifically because of the woman who he decides to rap about the mouth because he sees.
True, he does rap.
He just intuits naturally that she likes it and wants that in order to like. This is a dangerous man.
That is wild. That is some wild shit.
And also the guy who's willing to watch, though, that's a little sexual deviance.
Yeah. He's not doing himself any. He could have been like, "No, I should probably stop you from like." Beating this woman.
Or at least like I'll wait outside.
Beating this person for no reason. I'm a police.
Just read her mind, and she doesn't actually tell. It doesn't do anything. She doesn't tell you anything. He's like, I just figured it out.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I just beat her, and she wouldn't say it, but I figured it out anyway. So I guess I probably didn't have to beat her, and you could have just jerked off to something else.
Oh my! That scene like legit had me like cracking up.
That scene does not need to be there, and the fact that it is there is maybe the most damning piece of evidence about this movie's attitudes towards ladies.
Masochist, despite appearances.
Despite appearances, she likes to get real fucked up.
Extreme masochist.
I am an extreme masochist. That's what her brain is thinking. Like, I'm an extreme masochist. You have to hit me to get the information.
She did
hit me.
Though.
You know, because she was written to like it.
Well, all right. I don't know where we landed on that conversation exactly.
I think this movie is a symphony of cooterdom.
Yeah, the movie is just it's a cooter movie.
That's Heidelberg's MO now.
It's just bringing the cooters out of the woodwork for us. I appreciate it. Got to bring, sunlight's the best disinfectant when it comes to cooters.
The man's got a passion for this segment.
He's got a passion. He takes it very seriously, and we appreciate that for sure.
Much like we do.
As should you all. Except that we totally missed on the Scream Cooter talk. I really apologize. I actually had, if I hadn't been so drunk, I probably would have brought it up because I had some like solid points to bring up, especially bringing out old Nicole, man. She's hot for Billy Loomis, who is 100% a cooter, and we just let her slide. She got lucky last week.
Yeah, that dude is just through and through a cooter. I mean, to each their own. If you're into Billy Loomis, that's fine. But that dude's a cooter. I don't really think there's any way around it.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to be attracted to a cooter. You just got to watch your ass.
Yeah, actually, men.
You watch your ass.
Women can get scooped up by the cooter. I mean, part of it's sexual deviancy. It's not, and that's not all.
They have to be capable of manipulation, and that means tricking people into thinking that they're not cooters. So
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Old Billy Loomis doesn't even have time to wash his hair. Doesn't have the time.
Oh my God. Nappy is the way to be.
Nappy. All right. Well, let's go ahead and I want to tackle a little bit of news this week. We got some stuff to talk about. Let's do it.
Extra. Read all about it.
Talk about some news. So Don't Breathe is actually getting a sequel, which is a little surprising.
Oh yeah. Didn't they like build that up though?
They kind of made it seem like a cliffhanger at the end, but it seemed like one of those cliffhangers where it's like, yeah, but not really though. You wouldn't make a whole movie about that.
But they will.
They are.
Yeah, so they finally got the official green light to direct a sequel to Don't Breathe. Fede Alvarez is not going to be the director for this one. Rodo Sayagas, I think is how you say his last name, is going to be the director, and he was a co-writer on the first Don't Breathe movie as well as on the Evil Dead remake. So he's very much involved with like all the Fede Alvarez's stuff. So we'll see how he does. Stephen Lang's going to be back playing the blind man. Don't Breathe 2 Yes. Jane Levy is definitely coming back, which is good. So the sequel is set several years after the home invasion of the first movie of a blind man living in quiet solace until his past sins catch up to him. So actually, she might not be. I'm sorry. I'm not sure. I am unsure at this time if James Levy's coming back.
You're playing with my heartstrings here, Bob. I gotta know.
Yeah.
She was like, that was what was teased in the movie. Was that it's like
Right.
her
Yeah, he
getting,
was like going after her. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was what they implied anyway.
Yeah, it
So
is
what about
unclear
the
if she will return.
implication?
The implication. Yeah, I like that first movie pretty good.
Me too, man.
I know Fede Alvarez is a baller-ass director, though, so the sequel, assuming that Jane Levy doesn't come back and it's in the hands of potentially a lesser director, I don't know if it'll really hold up too well.
I'll give it a shot, though. I mean, I like the first one enough to where like I'll give this a shot, especially because it's a new director and somebody that's worked with Fede. I feel like it's worth giving that dude a shot on his own merits because that's how you find new directors to follow. So I'm curious to see how he does, even if Jane's not in it, which would be a shame because I loved her in that first one. Yeah,
she's solid. So we'll see that maybe later this year, maybe early next year. It'll be a while. They just started on it. We got a trailer for a movie coming out called Guns Akimbo.
We did.
So this is directed by Jason Lee Howden, who previously directed Deathgasm, which I'm a huge fan of. And it's going to be starring...
Sorry.
It's going to be starring Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter fame, and also Samara Weaving from most recently Ready or Not. It's this bizarre looking thing where I guess Daniel Radcliffe gets pulled into this real life video game that's called Schism, and he's got these guns that are literally pinned to his hands, and he's just fighting for survival, basically. It looks like it's going to be pretty action-packed. I don't know, what do you guys think about it?
Yeah, it's like if they took that one, what is the name of that Black Mirror episode with Braun in it? Fuck, I can't remember. But the one where like they're being forced to fight each other for the entertainment of the internet. So there's a lot of movies that kind of play with that, and it's that sort of thing, but with like this really like insane, like overblown aesthetic, like almost to the level of like fucking what is that? Oh God, I can't remember anything. I can't remember the fucking reference points I'm trying to make. It's just like really overblown and bright and colorful and like not too serious seeming. And Radcliffe as the lead, role in an American accent isn't hitting me too bad. It's all right sounding.
Yeah, it was like it's hard to trust, I guess, but like I'm intrigued enough.
Yeah.
The aesthetic is like interesting. The premise is thin, but they lean into it. So I don't know. It's 50-50.
It's leaning into dark comedy and when they're this overblown or whatever, sometimes that can be compensating for not having a lot else going on. Deathgasm kind of towed that line for me a little bit, but on the successful side of that line. We'll see how this goes. And the fact that it is Daniel Radcliffe is a little bit distracting, if I'm being perfectly honest. But,
yeah, I feel that too. I'm seeing Radcliffe and other things that aren't Harry Potter, I'm just like never very excited about it.
I feel bad because like he has every right to go after all the roles he wants, but it's like impossible to separate them, man.
He's
Captain
not
Luke Picard style.
And at least he like it. Everything he seems to pick seems like pretty obscure. Like in the things that he does. So at least he's not like I don't know. It's
that dude will never want for money, so he's clearly following whatever he thinks is most interesting.
Yeah, it seems like he tries to do like just like fun things. Yeah, so
like he did the one where he was a fucking corpse. Like this guy's willing to take risks in his post children's movie world.
And I don't as much like have a problem separating him. I think it would be harder to separate like the kid who played like Ron because he was like so goofy, and I never hardly see him in anything anyway. So like if he tried to be like an action star, like I just want him to make the crazy like Ron face, like whoa, like
make the crazy Ron face.
But like Radcliffe doesn't bother me as much, I guess. But I just think the premise is like questionable, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm mostly excited to see a movie that's directed by Jason Lee Howden. That's my pull here. But yeah, this is coming out February 28th, 2020, so we don't have to wait too long.
There we go.
Yeah. I also have Samara Weaving. I didn't realize the girl in the trailer was Samara Weaving. She looks.
I didn't either, honestly.
Her hair is very different. and her
Yeah,
makeup.
her
and everything.
eyebrows are like shaved off or something. But yeah, I'm also a fan of like
Whoa.
everything that she's done recently. So
I'm
cool.
into that.
I need to see that fucking Ready or Not movie. Like everybody's saying it's great.
It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. The last bit of news I have here is Shudder's got another documentary series coming out. They've been killing the documentary stuff lately,
Yeah, they are.
pretty much all last year. But this one, the series is going to be called Cursed, and it's about haunted horror movie sets. So there's a lot of like alleged cursed film sets. Poltergeist being one of them.
Poltergeist, yeah.
So this is going to be a 5-part documentary series. Each episode is going to tackle a different haunted or cursed set. So they're definitely going to have an episode on Poltergeist.
3 Men and a Baby.
I don't know. The rest, I don't know what they're going to talk about. But it's going to be premiering at South by Southwest at the end of March. So it probably won't hit Shudder until like April at the very earliest. So maybe sometime mid-year we'll be getting this series. I'm like way into that idea. It sounds like pretty cool, man. And the way that they've been killing their documentary stuff lately, I think they're going to do a pretty good job with it. I'll watch it for sure.
Let's go.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'm curious, like, to see what else is out there, especially for a 5-parter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
maybe
like
The Crow. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
I honestly think they might do like probably the most famous ghost in a movie that I could think of is 3 Men and a Baby. So I would be curious to see if they can stretch a whole show out of just that one scene that people mistook as a ghost.
Or ghost.
Or ghost.
The
Yes,
good one.
very haunted.
Just Ghost. Just they're gonna do it because we didn't. They follow Straight Chilling very closely, and we've inspired them to do a whole episode on the movie Ghost. It's terrifying and it's also haunted. I'm sure you do. All right.
Your assumptions have never led you astray.
Never.
Never have. Never will. We got a couple voicemails this week. If you are listening and you'd like to give us a call and leave us a voicemail to be played on next week's show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. So we got to hear from our boy Hydrabird, the man that picked the movie we talked about today. So let's go ahead and hear what Hydrabird has to say.
What up, boys? I just wanted to call in. It's your boy Hydrabird. You guys watching Lifeforce, Tobe Hooper's Lifeforce this week. I just finished it like last night. Haven't seen it in a while. This movie's crazy. It's so batshit. I love it. It's like a horror sandwich. You got so many different things. You got space, sci-fi, space vampires. You got Jean-Luc Picard, a male-on-male kiss. You got hypnosis, crazy flashbacks, full frontal nudity, gore. And Apocalypse. The Apocalypse itself is just a really fun set piece of the whole ending, which is crazy. Also, I like that they worked in Halley's Comet into the storyline, because that was like a big deal in the 80s, and I grew up in the 80s, and I always remember learning about Halley's Comet and like being on the lookout for it. It's coming around this year, So I was like, that was kind of cool that the aliens use that as sort of a mode to get around every couple of 40 years or so. The movie's just crazy, but it's a good watch. And I think it's one of Tobe Hooper's best. I know it was a major motion picture that didn't do quite well for him, but I think it's got a cult status now. I bought it on Spielberg Blu-ray. Thanks, Bob, from Screen Factory recently. And it's a beautiful looking Spielberg. So, I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little dated, but I think it's a good watch. All right? Keep chilling.
There you go.
Yes, I am converting
Bob, you're
everyone.
infecting our listeners.
Yeah,
You are the real Lifeforce sucker.
buy the movies. Buy them
real
all.
vampire.
Fucking Blu-ray vampire.
They'll steal the money right from your wallet, right from your 401k.
So
Just like a woman.
oh my god.
Bob,
Wow.
Jokes.
I did
Wow.
like how he brought up the like cultural significance of Halley's Comet. Like,
Yeah, I was I was going to bring that up also. That was also one of the pieces of trivia I did read, which was that in the book, it was not Halley's Comet. It was just an asteroid belt, I believe. But the comet was coming around like the following year. And Tobe Hooper's like, well, it might be good promo to like include this comet. But what's weird about that is that like Halley's Comet comes around once every 70 years, I think it is, or something like that. And it like they're the spaceship Churchill's there at the beginning, so it's there and it's as close as it's ever going to be. But then like several days later, you see it up in the sky, and I'm like,
that's true.
Comets are quicker than that shit.
Yeah.
But still, like apparently that was kind of a contentious decision, but they put it in there so that they could like glom onto some of that popularity of the Halley's Comet of all things.
Yeah, and really, it didn't like. I didn't even get the sense that was what they were using, because then at the end of the movie, the spaceship just kind of like floats off. But either way, I like him
there or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I like him bringing it up, because like that, like some of the sci-fi elements were definitely like some of my favorite. I wish we could have seen more of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for the pick, Hydraberg. Thanks for calling in, man. You truly are #hard with us.
Hard with us.
We got one more voicemail here. We're going to be hearing from Jim G. Baby. Let's see what Jim has to say.
Yo, what's up, gang? It's Jim G. Baby. Calling for the first time in a bit. I'll go over a couple lightning round style. I missed the top 2019 top moment. For me, it's got to be hands down here, and G. Quaid getting pissed on Red Stag was awesome, epic. Also, to just like, the community, the straight chilling, hard with us and extended family coming together, and you guys really like, it's like 2018, you guys were strong. 2019, you went into the gym and got yoked. So I'm just excited to see where the podcast goes from here. You guys are doing a hell of a job. Also, I wanted to drop on the voicemail, the hotline scream, my pick for the U pick. I don't know when that'll be, but I'm gonna go with Blade motherfucking Trinity, Bob. So no, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you.
No,
at least not right now. I'm gonna go with 1983's The Being, with starring Martin Landau, set in Idaho. Idaho's horror claim to fame? ? It's a terrible movie, but it's cheesy. It's got a fucked up, like, nasty monster, and there's one part that reminds me of Soju, and it fucking makes me laugh my ass off every time. So I'm hoping you guys haven't seen it. Walk into it fresh, and you'll know the part that I'm talking about when you get to it. So anyway, keep up the good work, fellas, and keep chilling. Later.
He had me.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, G baby. He didn't sleep in this time. He got his pick.
Yeah, he actually got a pick. When I first listened to his voicemail and he was like Blade Trinity, I laughed my ass off.
Dude, this is the first time for me. That was a surprise.
Oh
yeah.
man.
Speaking of which, speaking of Let's Get Physical Media, Bob, I'm sure by now you have watched the Blade trilogy. Have you?
You know I have not.
Bob,
however, I feel
haven't.
Like
oh my god!
At this point, we kind of have to talk about it eventually.
It was necessary for you to purchase it right away. You had to have it.
I know we failed to save a life on this podcast, and now it has a life of its own as another podcast. But can I bring something up that I read in the news recently? And
Please
it's
Randy.
That a couple of people were trapped in the like some flooding. I believe it was in Australia, or like some sort of flooding that was going on. I can't remember the exact situation, but it was related to like the aftermath of some of the fires. And some people were trapped, and they were saved. And do you know how they were saved, Rob? Do you know how they were saved?
No, I don't.
By fucking jet ski, Bob.
Bob, a life-saving
jet ski.
It wasn't by floating Blu-rays.
Nope. saved by a motherfucking jet ski. The Blu-ray sank, bitch. It
wasn't because of their 3 copies of
They're
Hocus
steel
Pocus.
cases. Jet skiers saved 100 people trapped in flooded homes. This is CNN.com.
There we go.
That is
100 people in the Bahamas. Okay.
Well, it's okay because Bob's got
I had
his
my location wrong, but it happened.
Bob does have his straight chilling jet ski on the way. Don't you worry. We put in that order, and it is being shipped. Yeah,
we're just waiting.
You
I'm tired of taking shit. I'm gonna dish a little shit here. I went back and grabbed a clip of Randy being absolutely shit hammered on Red Stag, and I'd like to play that right here. I should have 2. Here we go. He did not open a bottle of Red Stag.
That shit was already open.
It's also, it doesn't taste as good as when he was 18. So that's
both of those things are very true.
Unfortunate for Randy.
Both of those things are both true and good. Unfortunate. I only respect myself more.
As far as G Baby's actual pick, The Being, I've never heard of it, never seen it. I don't know anything about it, man. But you are on the list. I think you're number 3. So we will be getting to that shortly. Have you guys seen it? Are you aware of this?
I have not seen it.
Mm-mm.
People surprising us.
Yeah, it'll be a surprise. A little surprise.
Now, I do have a little hotline screen prompt before we end the segment.
What you got?
So sometimes we pose these prompts if you want to call in next week and let us know what you think. So I was thinking about this during this movie. So if you met a being, okay, who is not human, in this case, they were bat creatures, and the colonel at some point knew that they were bat creatures. But if you could be a shape-shifting being who could make themselves into apparently like your subconscious, like perfect, I guess in our case, feminine form, but whatever your attraction form is, because essentially they were just bats or whatever. But
what?
So if you could meet a shape-shifting being who could make themselves into your subconscious's like perfect sexual
partner.
Being,
Okay.
Would you smash? Would you smash?
Okay, you could have just like that was a lot of preamble for the would you smash.
Yeah, you really drug that out.
Well,
For the would you smash?
There's also I would need to revisit it because this movie made me think of last year. I watched that Netflix series. It's like what Monsters and Robots or something, that like anthology series.
Yeah.
One of my like favorite shorts from that series kind of had a similar premise to like this idea of like the space vampires or whatever, but it was like a different, and I loved it. So like it was the one I watched probably like the most. Like I watched it like 3 times. I was like, it blew me kind of away, and it's kind of like based on that premise. So I was like curious, like if you like could know in your conscious mind that like they weren't human and in fact probably were some like form of monster, however, like in the occupied space they were your perfect sexual being, would you smash? Would you do it?
Justin, it's clear that you put a lot of thought into your
answer. I put into everything I do.
That's
space that they occupy. They are perfect.
Yeah. So would you smash? Let us know.
Would you smash?
Rob, what's that number? I don't even know what it is.
The number is 904-638-3231. The question is, would you smash?
Would you smash?
Would you smash a succubus?
And if so, would you smash raw? That's the real question.
God damn.
So Nicole, you could essentially bone Billy Loomis, but
they'd be an alien.
Maybe it's like an interdimensional bat. You don't know.
I don't know. Like, I don't know that whatever's underneath Billy Loomis is going to be much better.
Oh man,
I think it's probably about parallel.
You could even conjure up a Billy Loomis with like a freshly washed head of hair. If you
Whoa, yeah,
even better.
Wow.
He could be clean. Yeah. I don't know. Would that take away some of the appeal? Nicole,
he could not smell like patchouli or something.
We're not talking about Lillard here, okay? That's a different story.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that dude definitely.
Patchouli Lillard.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah, that's gonna do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. We're gonna be back next week. We got a new show. It's gonna be our second Patreon pick of 2020. We're gonna be talking about a little movie called Sunshine, which was chosen by Jay Moore.
Oh shit! Nice.
Sunshine. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's been a while for me too.
There's a bit of a theme happening here with like space horror,
Lifeforce, which is good because
Sunshine, The Being.
Yeah, when this movie started, I was like, man, we haven't really covered some good sci-fi in a while. And then it was only like 10 minutes worth. I was like, God damn. Like, so Sunshine, definitely, like, I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too.
Sweet deal. So get your eyeballs on some Sunshine. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. On Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join our Slack channel, talk about the movie of the week, TV shows, music, gaming, news, anything and everything, just hit us up on one of the social media platforms, and I'll send you a link so you can join the daily conversation happening on Slack. Watch Justin play video games on Twitch. Hit up our YouTube channel. Hit up Let's Get Physical Media Podcast, our sister show. Stay tuned for our mini cast dropping later this week about villains. We got all kinds of shit. Vote in the bracket of blood. Straight Chilling is thick at the beginning of 2020. We got a lot of shit happening. Join us. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.